Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Cheryl Vargas. Cheryl believes that engaging, connecting, and delighting teams with art is a step towards humanizing company culture, which undoubtedly supports employee retention. Cheryl encourages creativity in the work environment because work life is changing and employees are getting sick of the work from home routine. Yes. Day in and day out. Cheryl is here to talk openly about her life, her challenges, and how her career now is impacting people all over the world. I'm so excited to learn more about this. Welcome, Cheryl. How are you?
Thank you, Sabrina Victoria. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here today.
Yes. Thank you for taking some time to hang out with me and to share all these nuggets of information that you are sharing. I'm actually super excited about this because I've actually gone my whole life thinking that I had no creativity at all, like nothing at all. Just like all I do is work. I'm very business oriented. I'm very like money oriented, finances, and like building businesses, which does not involve color normally. And on a whim, I started to create or add on to suit jackets and colors, and started a kind of like a nonprofit, sort of. It's working on that. Enhancing jackets. And then soon after that, I actually painted this from hand. I had never painted anything before in my life. And
Nice.
decided one day, just I had a canvas that my fiance had found in the garbage, and he brought it home. It's this huge painting. It's literally 6 feet tall by like 4 or something. And he brought it home. We had it sitting in the living room. It was so ugly, but I didn't want to throw it out because it was like brand new condition. So I just painted the whole thing black and just started like doing stuff. And her name is Freedom, and she's absolutely beautiful. So I'm so
It
excited.
is.
I think that you probably bring out this creativity in people that they never ever get to like see, because all we do is work.
I think that the thing that I hear most from people is I can't draw a straight line. I can't draw a stick figure. I definitely am not creative. And that's just not true. People are born creative. I mean, it's like a primal thing that we seek to be creative. If you look at a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there it is. Almost
Wow.
right at the top is creativity, the need to express your creativity. So I mean, from the start of cavemen writing on the walls, just with their hands, they weren't judging their art. They were just trying to
Yes.
communicate something, right? They were just trying to let the next tribe of nomads who came through know what they experienced and how the hunting was. And, they didn't judge. And that's how we should all approach art, is to satisfy that basic creative need that we have and just do it. Just make the time for it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
good for you, making that time. I mean, you can't like have an empty canvas in your house and not try to fill it up with something,
Exactly.
Except I, of course, on the other hand, have a ton of empty canvases in my house, but they're for other people. So I get to get away with that.
I hear you on that.
So
Well, listen, I think that your story is so interesting, and I love um the journey in which you took to get to where you are now and the status of which you're at now. So I would love to just kind of hand over the floor to you and kind of allow you to kind of, briefly tell us or tell us however you want about your story and how you got to, Studio 928 and, the challenges that you had to get through to kind of get here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I discovered after having people ask me about this a lot, and also my own need to know why I was so persistent in what I have done over the years. Well, it turns out after a little digging, I discovered that I opened my first business when I was 8 years old. And it wasn't much of a business and I failed at it. But it was Hasbro's, what was it, Give a Show projector. It was red and on TV, it just looked like, wow, okay, if I get that projector, man, I'm going to have all the kids pay a quarter and they'll get a bag of popcorn and we're going to be rich, my brother and I, right?
Wow.
So of course we got the thing in the mail. Or, my mom brought it home and it was like, nobody's going to pay for this. This is not fun. This is not how that looks on TV, So, but that was the first time. And I don't know where it came from. Instead of just wanting to enjoy the toy for the toy, I saw a business opportunity. So that was the first time. And so from there, of course, as I got older, I had, babysitting jobs and stuff like that. But the entrepreneurial streak in me is strong. And so I have tried many businesses and I have failed at many businesses. But every time you fail, and this I think is the sign of an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, is that every time you fail, you just get back up. You don't even think about it. Like it might hurt for maybe 24 hours or something, but you just pop right up and go, okay, well, that didn't work, or somebody didn't do what they needed to do to help you make it happen. Mm-hmm. And you just move on. You just keep going. So that's what I did. And I think that's the scary thing for me. That was the scary thing for me as I got older in business, is that I was just getting to the point where, wow, this is just a failure and a failure. What am I doing wrong? But I was so curious that I kept going. And until I found out that, so there's a story, and I think everybody kind of has an art trauma story in their lives. Oh, somebody in your life said, you can't, you're coloring the elephant pink, and some teacher says to you, and I'm not picking on teachers, so don't come after me, you guys. Somebody says to you, elephants can't be pink. Elephants need to be whatever, or you can't paint that sun purple. The sun's not purple, or something else, where you were really enjoying your creativity and someone said something to you. It changed your whole life. It's funny how one little thing like that can change your whole life. Mm-hmm. So I started out that way as well. As I got older, I wanted to be an artist. I knew in my heart I wanted to be an artist, but everyone said art is not a career. You need something to fall back on. You better have a strong second major or, just a whole list of different things. Oh, haven't you ever heard of a starving artist? All of these different things to discourage you from something that I guess seemed so enjoyable to most people that you couldn't possibly make money at it. Just like with acting or singing or any of the other arts, they're enjoyable. People enjoy them. Yeah. They feel good from them. How can you make money at something that gives people joy?
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that the reason for people saying those types of things to young people who want to express themselves in an artistic way or pursue a career artistically. So anyway, so that was my big challenge in life, was overcoming that thing. But of course, I went on and actually Was an event planner for many years. I was a SEO strategist for a while. I was a certified productivity specialist, and a certified professional meeting planner, and a certified productivity specialist. So I did all those things, and I enjoyed event planning very much. But what really got it for me was when I was in art class. And, my major was graphic arts. I wasn't planning on being an artist because, God forbid, I'm not good enough for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my art teacher leaned over in my ear and she said, "Cheryl, you're an artist." And I was like, I don't know why. My whole life I've been creating. And when she said that to me, it just opened up a flower, I guess. I guess you could say, if you wanted to visualize my brain opening up like a flower.
Oh, I love that.
And then from there, it was like on. It was on. I went to a self-employment for the arts conference I went to Concordia here, and someone pitched a paint and sip business for children, or not, And I was like, I want to do that. You mean you could put art, paint, and wine together and people will pay you for that? It's like, okay. So that's, after she told me that, it was just like on. So I started off with a mobile paint and sip business. And then I went to my own studio in February of 2020.
Wait, you had a mobile, like in a truck, and you would drive to companies?
No. So I started out in a restaurant in Oak Park, Illinois. But I got the idea that I wanted to have more control over when I could have events. I had to work around the restaurant schedule. That's why I got a brick and mortar. And no, was not out of a truck. I just drove my materials to the restaurant.
Got it, mobile. Okay. I was going to say, that'd be sort of interesting.
It would have been a nice idea,
Yeah.
So anyway, what happened in March of 2020 after our grand opening was that. So fortunately, I had a business plan. And in the business plan, it said, paint boxes to go. And I hope that some of my people who are watching me right now, people who supported me, who were there, and helped me transition from that mobile business to my brick and mortar business to a online virtual business. They were all there to support and purchase from me and support the art. So I'm very thankful for those people. But yeah, so I went, because of that in my business plan, I had the boxes and paints and all those things ready to ship. And I just changed my audience because I started to realize that the people who were coming to me were corporations. Hey, Laura.
Wow.
They were corporations. So then I shifted my business model from doing B2C to B2B. And it was all based on all the failures, all of those little failures I had in social media, SEO strategy. Well, I didn't do those things and not learn something. So when I started the online business with corporate teams, my SEO helped them find me. So it was that thing that transitioned me from a B2C company to a B2B company. So it was just like a natural evolution. So I stopped fighting it. And I started to try to figure out ways to stand out in the marketplace. And one of those things was, developing my studio so that I could give the best visual experience. And also, with my products, we now have our own branded Studio 928 paint sets.
I love it.
So, just raising the bar and then focusing on the problem of business right now, which is, this mass exodus of people leaving. And what can you do to improve your company culture so that people think more about staying? People don't stay. People don't have loyalty anymore because companies don't treat them, in a good way.
Exactly.
So imagine a company who has once a month, an art session for their team where they get to connect, engage with each other, get to know each other, express themselves creatively,
And laugh.
And laugh, and maybe
Yeah.
once in a while drink a little wine, because we have wine. We have a relationship with One Hope Wine where we ship the wine internationally, and part of the proceeds of the wine goes to charity. So it's like a total win-win.
Wow.
So that's why I think what I feel like I'm doing is helping people and corporations take time for art, something that's a primal need for people. And also it makes them more human, people, or, makes the company seem more human. When people talk about their employer, now they can be like goodwill ambassadors. I work for a great company. You should come work for us. You know how hard people are struggling to get people to work for them these days?
100%.
They need something extra, to bring people in the door. So I feel like if your employees are happy, they're going to sing your praises. And also they're going to be less stressed. And they want to be understood and appreciated. Thank you. And I think that the culture in the past 50, 60 years, whatever, has just gotten to the place where it's just like work, 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 work. My husband works for a company, and we won't mention any names, that one year they gave us coupons for $2 off the store brand product for Christmas.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
So, it was just a coupon for $2 off?
$2 off their store product that we don't buy, because, you don't want to buy brand X, XYZ. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with buying brand X stuff, but in a grocery store, it's a little bit different. So
yes.
We're in the Chicago area, so you can guess there's not that many choices of grocery stores.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So that's why I'm here right now, is because, my overall mission is to make the world take time for art, because it's good for you. It makes you feel good. It shines behind you the way your painting is, shining behind you.
I did that purposely. That's nice, right?
Right. And how many times have, people watching said, I need to get my paints out, or I should draw, or I should do this, or I should do that. Well, I'm here to give you that time to make time for art. We've got art classes. I'll stop now. You go ahead. I'm starting to sound like a commercial now. Go ahead.
I want to talk about, how you got to where you are now. There's so many individuals, and I'm sure watching here live right now, which is why they're still hanging out with us, that are interested in doing something fun. They're passionate, something that they're passionate about, something that they're drawn towards. And they had the same limiting belief that you were kind of fed with, like, how do you make money doing that? So I'd like to kind of, you had mentioned failures, that you failed, several times in your life. What would you consider was your biggest failure? And then how did you deal with that?
Biggest failure. Well, as I said before, I don't ever look at a failure as being big, because then you give it too much power.
I love that. That's what we need to hear. Yeah. Yes. I agree.
You give it too much power. So, I mean, I can tell you how many, different businesses I've tried and failed. But like I said, I didn't dwell on it. I just was like, well, that didn't work. You keep going. And maybe it's because I failed so early, as an 8-year-old, trying to, with my Give a Show projector, I didn't take failure seriously. It just felt like something that was going to happen, So, when I don't deal with it long, because it can't hold a place in my head. I will tell you a story though. One time I was putting together a magazine And I had a whole team of people who were going to write articles and support distribution and all that. And there was some like in gossiping, funny things going on in the background that I didn't know about. But anyway, we're supposed to have this major meeting right before this major event, and nobody came. I was just there by myself.
Are
And
you serious?
it was crazy because I kept looking at my watch. You know?
That's like,
did I tell them the right time? So anyway, bottom line, yeah, I sat there devastated. The next day, I had to do everything by myself. I did everything by myself. I just did it. And what I learned from it was you can only depend on you as an entrepreneur. I mean, you're the first person, you're the last person. And so those kind of failures, you always have to plan that something may go wrong, I guess, is what I'm saying. That's the lesson. That's the big lesson learned. And then you just try to think ahead about it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You know, we can't, problem solving. And guess what? Because I'm creative all the time, my mind works like that. So the more you do art, everybody, the more you get better at problem solving and creating and ideating. Seriously, you know? So, that's what I
love.
do with,
I love that you're putting those two together, because I think a lot of times individuals, they tend to sit in the problem a lot longer than they have to. And then when they're done sitting in the problem, they don't do what you just said, where they view it as a learning experience. They basically just view it as a story that they can complain to their friends about randomly while drinking wine, versus viewing it as, hey, actually, it's awesome that this happened to me, because then it taught me this. Now I'm that much better at doing this because of that. So I love your viewpoint on that. I think it's so true.
Yeah. And I just feel like it helps you in everything you do, just getting used to that, developing that thick skin, and not, like you said, dwelling on it. You just got to move on. Just move on. Like I could tell you all those stories, those famous stories of famous people who failed over and over and over. J.K. Rowling, Michael Jordan, Will Smith. There's just a whole list of all these people who kept failing because they kept trying. If you fail and you quit, well, there you have it. But that's the rest of your life. That's why you just have to keep going.
That's the story. Where the story end? Do you want it to end there?
Right. You got to see yourself there. And that's what, Jim Carrey's got a great story. He says he wrote a check to himself for $1 million or $10 million. When he started, right before he started his stand-up career, going into comedy clubs and stuff like that. And he kept it in his wallet. And he eventually, I can't remember what show he was on, but he cashed it after what movie was it? I guess it was Ace Ventura.
It was
Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. So I love that story. And Will Smith has a similar story, just visualizing what it is you want to happen, and then bam, the universe knows and you get it. It sounds crazy, but what can you lose by just thinking that way?
I agree 100%. Where do you see people failing when it comes to finding creativity or joy in their life? Where do you think people should be having more of that, where they're totally lacking it?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I guess I would say, the way I understand it, I think you're asking how can they have more creativity in their lives?
Yeah.
Okay. Something I recently became a part of was the Chair of Joy movement.
Chair of Joy?
Okay. The Chair of Joy.
Okay.
And the Chair of Joy talks about giving yourself time daily to find joy. no matter what your circumstance, there's got to be 1 minute or 2 minutes that you can stop and sit in your chair of joy. And sometimes you may not actually have a physical one, but they recommend that you do have one. But you sit in that chair, you sit, you breathe, you think and feel. So
Oh my
you take some deep breaths and you just, let it go. And then you think of something that brings you joy, some situation. If you don't have something, just think joyful thoughts or just think of joy. And then um, you feel that joy that you expressed in that moment in your life. You take some more deep breaths and then you let yourself go. You walk out of it. So that kind of practice, and then maybe tying that into something creative, markers, pencils, keep some acrylic paints, uh, some watercolors are really non-messy, no big setup time, no big cleanup, just have them handy. And just, you don't have to have a whole day to do art. You can just take a small break. Like one thing that I like to do is doodle. And I was talking to someone, one of those people who always say, I can't even draw a straight line, or, I can't make a stick figure. I'm like, oh, really? Really? Okay. How about you just pick up your pen or your pencil, whatever your instrument is, and then just start making some lines. Enjoy the feel of the pencil or the pen and, do some shading, whatever. And just doing that for a few minutes a day, it lowers your blood pressure.
Wow.
It releases endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, all these different great hormones in your body to make you happier. And you don't even know that this is going on because, it goes on in the background of your head. And then you just experience it and just let that flow, become a part of you and enjoy it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Definitely. So, I agree with that. You were kind of stating earlier that, or even right now, that there's people that you have, obviously come into contact with who say that they don't have a creative side. Have you ever met somebody who doesn't have a creative side, or do you believe that every single person has a creative side of some sort?
Yeah, they don't know. They do though. They do. Everybody. Yeah, they do. Everybody was born with one. That Lady Gaga song, Baby, You Were Born This Way?
Yeah.
You're all born that way. You get learned out of it. It's that art trauma that may have happened in your life that makes you believe that you're not creative, when I know from doing hundreds, having hundreds of people in my classes, that those people who feel that way are usually the most creative and they try the hardest. They get better. They come back.
Really?
Yeah, honest to goodness. Yeah, they try really hard. And plus they come up with some unique, out of the box kind of ways to do things that, traditional artists would never think of, because, they've been taught this way to do something. The sky's always yellow, never purple. Elephants, can't be yellow, So they always come up with something unique and something that people find incredible. So I say that everybody has a creative side.
That's awesome. Wow. I'm thinking of some of the people that I know in my life, and I'm like, it would be so interesting to give them a paintbrush and to have them paint, because they just have a persona of not being creative. And I think that would be so interesting. And that must be so awesome for you to be able to see the transition between like, nah, this really isn't my thing, to then like showing off their art.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. I mean, I feel proud, because, I've made somebody feel better. I've made somebody discover something within themselves that they didn't think existed. And it makes me feel like I'm doing some good in the world.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
And, people don't necessarily have to always express themselves visually. It could be just, singing or crocheting or working on your car or any of those things or sculpting. I have a friend who's a potter. Who's a potter who doesn't get enough time to express that. And so, it's funny that every time I talk to someone going through that, it always nags. It's something that nags at them all the time. I should get my paints out. I should do this. I should work on my scrapbooking or whatever. It's like, if you don't do it, it's going to nag at you. So stop. Schedule like a date with yourself. Put it on the calendar. Okay. It doesn't have to be all day from 1 to 3 p.m. I'm going to do this from, 4 to 5 p.m., whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In your opinion, what colors stimulate creativity and growth?
So my first reaction was going to be yellow. I thought yellow, because yellow or green, because, being out in nature would, stimulates my creativity. But it turns out that the color that most stimulates creativity is blue.
Really?
Blue and red, right? So, and it's funny because, as you can see, our brand colors are turquoise and orange, which is of course, form of blue. Your turquoise skies, your turquoise ocean, all those things that, kind of like expand and open up your thought processes. So I didn't even know that when I picked the color. So I just lucked out, but yeah, intuitively, right. But I would say that, your favorite color stimulates your creativity.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yes. It doesn't have to be, the way the University of British Columbia said, it could be what makes you happy.
Yes. So, hanging out with you and knowing what you do as far as, going into places, companies, and kind of pulling that creativity out of individuals. What is your advice as far as, or what would be like the top, a list of some things that people should do if they're kind of feeling burnt out at their job? Should they be pulling out a scrap piece of paper and drawing a stick figure of a dog or a tree? What should these people be doing?
Yeah. So, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, which is everybody, not just people who feel themselves are artistic, but just, you should walk away from your desk. Number one, just get up and walk away. Actually, studies show that the more you sit, the more unhealthy you become. So sitting on your butt for long, extended periods of time is unhealthy for you. So you need to get up like every 20 minutes. And that might seem counterproductive, but you could go sit in your chair of joy for 1 minute.
Yes.
And do some breathing and then come back. But that is definitely something that people need to do, is get up, because you do get, like, after a long day here, and I try to be good about getting up, but you feel tired and all you've been doing is sitting. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I would say that. I would say have some markers or pens or pencils, different shades of pencils, a 2B pencil, a HB pencil. You learn all about pencils at one of my art classes, which I'm going to put a coupon code for in the chat. But yeah, I think that having some tools close by that you can express yourself with is a good way to just stop the burnout. And also tell your employers about me. I will bring art to your company. You can do
that's
art all the time.
Yes.
So let your company pay for art to come into your life, so you have time for art at work, and it helps them. They'll have a happier person, they'll have a more creative person, they'll have better problem solvers, they'll have people who interact and feel good about working there as opposed to hating their job every day. And they'll become goodwill ambassadors. So there's a bunch of reasons to do art.
That's awesome. Is there any sort of, just for my own personal thought, is there a certain figure or like object that somebody should like start to draw, or like when someone's like, I don't know how to draw, are you like, okay, let's draw a
Okay.
dog or let's draw a tree? Do you have something where you say like, let's start with this thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention it before, on tomorrow at 12:30 Central Time, I'm doing a 15-minute power paint and doodle break. Okay, you can't say that 3 times real
Wow.
fast. It doesn't work. And I'm going to show you the answer to Sabrina's question, which is, where do I start?
Yeah.
Where do I start to start expressing my creativity when I haven't done it forever? So I have a free Google guide that if you stick around to the end, you're going to get a copy of. But you'll be able to download that. So what's in the doodle guide? So first of all, the first rule of doodling is that there's no erasing, no judgment. You just willy-nilly make lines and circles and shades and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'll have, like, one of the first things we're going to do is just take some shapes, like some squares and circles, and we're going to just doodle in them, like, or around them, willy-nilly, relaxing. We're of course going to open with spending some time in your chair of joy first, so you can get relaxed. This is a break in the middle of the day, so you can just take a minute and forget about everything you're supposed to do and do something you want to do.
Wow.
But we're going to start with straight lines, circles. There's an exercise there for drawing around your hand and doodling in that. Of course, we won't finish all these in 15 minutes, but it'll give you a starting point to move forward with your art. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do have art classes available that start February 5th. And we have a second session that I think goes in March 5th. So I'm going to put a coupon code down for those. It is Artist Me, but I'll put it in the chat later.
Very
so
cool.
That's where you start. Yeah.
Very, very cool. What would you say is the number one lesson you've learned about your life, or from your life?
Okay. So number one lesson from my life is don't listen to other people telling you can't do something.
Yes.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I would be so much further along as an artist if I hadn't listened to, and there wasn't any one specific person in my life saying these things to me, but I mean, just societal, it was a societal way of speaking about art. Artists starve. If you want to be famous, you have to die first.
Yeah.
Who wants to start off their career with that kind of thing going around in their head, right? And all those things that I mentioned before, that you have to have a fallback career and all of these things. You can't make money as an artist. So I think that that's what I learned, is that don't listen to people telling you can't do something, and don't do things the way people tell you need to do them, especially if your passion and the way you feel about things pulls you in another direction. Just follow that. When you follow that passion, you can't help but succeed, because there's just the motivation and the drive will continue to manifest itself, in your life. So just
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So with all this talk, as far as, all the hurdles that you've gone through and how you just pick yourself right back up and you just get back on the horse and you barely spend 24 hours on it, have you ever had a disempowering belief, like besides the starving artist? Is there like anything else that ever kind of like held you back from going forward?
that you have to have a degree.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That
It's
you
a
have to.
way that people use to not promote you, uh, to make you feel less than. And we know that that's sometimes socioeconomically based, that kind of discrimination. What I did though was I went back to school and got my degree.
There you go.
So, you know, but still, I mean, why I know some super powerful people who never got a degree, some super talented people who, it's not something that you need to listen to. If that's not for you, then don't do it. It's not that it wasn't for me, but when I was a kid, my mom didn't know how to get me from high school to college. She
Yeah.
didn't know about financial aid and stuff like that. So, despite the fact that I really wanted to go, it was not possible. So I would just say that would be the other thing that I believe that held me back a little bit. And I would just say to people, don't let that hold you back. So either fix it, go back to school early, not, real late like I did, or just get past it, find a way to, get around it.
Where do you think you got that problem solving from? Because people aren't normally like that. Where did you get that from? Where you just like get right back up?
It comes from above,
Wow.
it comes from just, I guess, always aspiring for more. I don't, I'm a very positive person. I don't like living in negativity. And I think that the longer you stay in negativity, that's right, son, plan your work and work. As long as you stay in negativity, that's a dark place to be.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to stay there?
Yeah.
You got to, that's all. You just move on out of it. And so I think that aside from it being an innate thing within myself, it's not a very pleasant place to be, in the dark and in the aftermath of failure and disappointment. And so I would just say that it comes from not wanting to be there, that I solve the problem as soon as I can. I immediately start to think of, a good example. Today I was working on some photographs for a client of my art, and I was like, oh my God, I am not going to, that's going to take me an hour to do that. So how can you fix this? How are you going to do this? There's got to be a quicker way. There's always, my husband and I were talking about a crazy old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That was a terrible saying, but it's very memorable. So I'm like, okay, so what's the other way to do this? There's got to be another way. And I came up with it, and it took only 10 minutes as opposed to probably an hour it would have taken. So it's just, yeah.
I think it's also important just to see how far you can go. Like, think of all of the things and the businesses that you were able to create and grow from and learn from because you didn't sit in it for too long. Like if you would have sat in the failures for longer, you probably wouldn't even be doing this art thing yet. Right? Because that time, that space in between each failure would have taken up a lot of weeks, months. People dwell in things for a long time, you know? So because you're able to pick yourself up so quickly and just next, you're now living in a space of what you like ultimately wanted a long, long time ago. Ideally, but because you just kept, next. I think that's so important. The quicker you can get up, the quicker you can just get to the thing that's going to get you closer to the thing that you ultimately want to be doing.
That's it. That's it.
Continuing to evolve. So obviously you've been telling us a lot about business as we've been going along. Your website is below your name. So tell us exactly what you do. What do you do?
Exactly what I do. I bring team. So today, Studio 928 is bringing art to corporate teams around the country and internationally. We recently did a program with Red Bull International where we had teammates from Canada, Russia, the United States, and Canada on one call. So that's very much in line with my mission, is taking art internationally. But for right now, what I do with teams is we bring them into our studio via Zoom, and we ship our paints out to everybody. If I haven't held up my product before, I'm doing it probably for the 5th time. We ship those with our art brushes out across the country. And yeah, so basically the company selects the image that they want, or images if we're doing them more than one time over 6 or 12 months. And yeah, we ship internationally, and yeah, they get to see me taking them through some art pieces with watercolors, acrylics, and soon to be pastels. And we do engaging questions to get the team members to know each other better, open-ended questions like, what's your favorite family tradition? Or, just a host of those types of questions. And then also customize on-screen trivia so that whoever's organizing the event can tell us the demographics of the group, so that we make sure that everything is tailored for that particular group to get the best interaction within the team.
Wow.
And then, of course, yeah, we tape it.
While they're painting, you're interacting like purposefully.
Yes.
Wow.
I can't be quiet for long periods of time. So I'm talking to them, I'm asking them questions, they're joking back and forth. Now, of course, it's not to say that we don't get certain people, like sometimes like accountants or scientists, they're very, like, they gotta focus on that one thing. And that's it, so I kind of feel like, wow, I'm bombing out here, I'm doing my stand-up and nobody's laughing. But then I find out later that they've had the best time. They just love it. They come back again. We get a lot of repeat customers. Yeah, it's just that's how they submerge themselves in art. It's 100%.
Yeah.
There's no chitter chatter back and forth. So I just keep talking, I try to talk less,
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Another learning experience. That's
you learn with each group, you learn, you just adapt, and sometimes when that happens, then we'll put some music on in the background, like jazz or something real nice classical.
Very cool. Wow, that's so awesome. So what does success mean to you?
That question. Well, okay, so there's business and then there's personal. So I would say in business, succeeding would mean that I have created a movement, a worldwide movement for taking time for art. That would be pretty amazing. Getting somewhere near there, that would even be better. That'd be fine. Yeah. In terms of life, my personal life, I think it would be just freedom, having endless time with my family, being able to know that they're proud of me, visiting the places on my bucket list, Egypt, the pyramids, Nigeria, where I found out I'm 30% Nigerian. Hey, Nigerians.
Yes.
Venice, Machu Picchu. I think I feel successful now. I feel successful because I get to do what I wanted to do in terms of career. I get to do art every day if I want to.
Wow, totally. Yeah.
That career that people were like, oh, you can't make any money doing it. It's too joyful. Here I am, doing what I enjoy. So
yes. And the way you have it set up, you can actually do all that traveling and then still be teaching your classes.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So very cool. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So it just took some time. It took some evolving, to get to where you are. But it's just continuing to move forward. Settling.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny, like if you are doing something now as a side business, side hustle or whatever, and you've been doing it for a while and it's not succeeding, Does that mean that you can't succeed as an entrepreneur? No, it just could mean you're not doing that exact thing that is your passion. Like you're maybe doing something because you think it's a good idea or someone encouraged you to do it, but you don't really feel it in here that that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like if someone tells you you can make a lot of money in sales. Yeah, you can make a lot of money, but do you love it?
Yeah.
You know, so it does make a difference, you know, if you really are passionate and you have that passion in you, it will continue to motivate you no matter what happens, no matter how people disappoint you. People in your family or friends are not supporting you. They don't like your posts. They don't, you know, share, you know, it's like, what does it cost you to hit the like button? Good grief,
Yeah.
you know, but you know what I mean? You're going to find all kinds of frustrations like that, you know, but when you do find that one thing, I think that as soon as you do, you'll be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for the ladies that are, and men, yeah, that are watching us live, still hanging out with us, I'm assuming they're resonating with what you're saying. I'm assuming that they're appreciating all the words, but they're still here, almost an hour in. I'm wondering what your advice would be to the females, only because this is predominantly a female, for all you men too, right now, that are feeling tired of the work, eat, sleep cycle. What would be your advice to them?
That is a good question. I would say just make sure you do something for you. Like, again, instead of going, woe is me, or, you know, my life sucks, do something different. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So when you have to come home and deal with the kids and the husband and make dinner and do the laundry and all that, I'm sure nobody would be mad at you if you said, you know what, I need 2 hours over here and 2 hours over here, at least twice a week, so that you can have time. And, you know, I know people say, you know, yeah, but you don't know my life. But you just try to find some help. Join some women's groups.
Yeah.
Make some, you know, go to the library, hang out, you know, maybe it's just leaving the house that you need to do with your kids, maybe. I don't know. It's been a long time since I had little tiny people in my life. So I know that it can be frustrating. But if you are at a place where you can reserve time, just make some time for yourself. You know, whether it's taking time to get your guitar out that you haven't played in forever, or planning a trip with your girlfriends, or just give yourself something to look forward to. I remember just recently someone told me, when you're planning for your goals for your future, don't make them so big and lofty that you have to save and save for them. You know, make a goal for yourself that is in, you know, 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, something good that you put aside for yourself that you can look forward to. So I think that's where people get frustrated, is they don't have anything to look forward to. You know, absolutely. Maybe it's just an art class with a wonderful art teacher that you get to look forward to.
Yes.
You know, where you get to invite your girlfriends, we'll sip some wine, you know, we'll tell some jokes. You know, you can get dressed up or be in your pajamas. We can make it a pajama party. Just make some time for yourself. Just schedule it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I love the fact that you are bringing arts and community together, because, you know, I think a lot of times, for me at least, I view creativity or art of something that you do on your own by yourself to meditate. Not that you can't do it that way, but I love that you're bringing both together, because I think that a lot of times us as humans in general, especially now in 2022, we are kind of separating because of the internet. You know, we are kind of off in our own world because we can just kind of communicate like this, like you and I. But this is so much better than just reading a post and making a little 2-sentence comment and a like. And now you know that, like, your friend from high school got married or whatever it is. This is so much more intimate. So I love that you're bringing both of those together. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I should point out that when we get together on a Zoom call, I can have up to 300 people in the room, or it could be an intimate group of 10 people, but you see each other. You can talk to each other. You can share your finished art with each other. And I just think it's important for people to take that time for art. And what happens when they do art together, there's like a exponential increase of the vibe, of the creative vibe. It's like when you go to a concert and everybody there loves that artist the same way you love it. It's like it increases your enjoyment because you're all experiencing this together. Or you can also equate group art, I guess you would call it, to like being outside in nature. Like spending 2 hours out in nature raises your spirits and your level of peace and joy in your life. And art is equivalent to that. At least I think so.
That's I would agree. I would totally agree. I love everything that you stand for. I love the fact that you kept going and evolving and you are what you are now. I think that what you do is brilliant. And I thank you so much for coming on here and sharing some of this with us.
You are welcome. I was wanting to figure out, is it possible for me to put the coupon code in the chat, or can I chat it all?
I could. Is it long?
Well, it's there's a block of text. I can put it in the private chat. Let's see if it works.
Well, in the private chat. Oh, okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah. I don't know if I can make that. Let's see. Let's just try it out. Let's see. Is it the bottom one or is it all of it?
Just all if you grab it all, then you'll make sure. So there's like there's the doodle class, there's the doodle download. Can't say that 3 times fast either. And then there's the link for the art classes. It's the last one. And you just have to put in the coupon code MEARTIST. And it'll give you 10% off.
Yes. So just make sure you put that in all the comments underneath the videos and people can actually physically click on them. I think that'll be a little easier. Cool. I don't know how to, if I put it in here, it'll only go to some, which I can.
Gotcha.
It'll go to some of them. And actually we'll find out which ones it goes to. So do you have any closing thoughts before we close up?
No, just thank you for having me here today and letting me tell my story, which I don't think I've done on a recording before. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yes. It's always great to go back and remember all those things that happened to get us to where we are. Because sometimes we're living our life, and this is why this platform exists. We live our life and we think that we are just doing what we have to do to make things work for our lives. There's actually people that are like suffering or in a darkness because they want to get to where you are. And the only way for them to understand is for them to hear like, hey, listen, Cheryl's doing great right now, but she actually went through a lot of the same stuff and thoughts that I'm going through right now. So if I just do what she did and react the same way she did, I can eventually get to where she's at. And that's what we're trying to create here. So I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome that you offer this. So great.
I love that.
Thank you.
No problem. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close up. For those of you that are still watching us live, I so appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang out with us. For some of you, it's noon. So you got to hang out with us on your lunch period. So thanks for chilling with us. I so appreciate that. Community is expanding every single day, and it's filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and you like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share, make sure you reach out to me here or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful